Sorry for the late start. We're going to be doing up a Nylon Nymph today. This is a cool pattern for new tire. Or an old one for that matter. It uses nylon cord, hence the name. So if you got some chunks of paracord laying around, that works a treat for this. I don't have any cut up right now, so I'm just using some poly yarn. I've also tied these for ice fishing with dental floss too, and they work quite well for that. As long as you got the corded up dental floss, not the super flat stuff or the puffy stuff, it'll still work though. Good morning. Okay, so the first thing we're tying in is some mallard flank for the tail. I'm going to try and get the whiter stuff on the bottom. It's a little bit bronzy on the top there, but this will work just fine for a tail. We don't need a whole lot because it's just a nymph, and we want to have it about the gap height. So we're going to go about half. This is a size 12? Yeah, this can be tied from a size 14 up through to a size 6. We're going with a size 12 just for a little bit easier on the camera. And we're going about half the gap height there. And we're going to tie it in right there, so about a gap width. Okay, I'm just going to kind of slightly even those out like we have. There we go. Feeling a little bit better, still snuffly, but I am surviving. 1 second, I didn't quite tear that off like I should have. Let me fix that. There we go. Well, it didn't go quite as well as I wanted it to, so let's see how this tail forms. You basically just want a little white puff of a wisp coming off the back, so that's what we're going to shoot for. Yeah, it's finally starting to get some energy back. There we go. Morning, Robert. Morning, Ewaz. Good to have you guys in. Sorry I started a bit late here. Hit snooze on my alarm clock. Oops. Still gonna get 1 or 2 in here before I gotta get breakfast and everything going. So this is a fun fly because it uses nylon cord, and I really used to like to play with nylon cord. Not just with fly tying, but it's useful for all sorts of things. Basically like the internals of a paracord. I'm sure Robert knows all about the fun you can have with paracord. I'm not using paracord today because I just don't have any super handy. I'm going to be using this just a poly yarn. Wow, that's really bright. There's that better for you guys, kind of see it a little better. See how it's nice and stranded like that? It's actually a 5, I believe it's 5 strand poly yarn. Doesn't matter because we're going to be tearing the strands apart like so. But before we tie the body in, we're going to be getting to the rib. The rib on this, for the traditional pattern, calls for just mono. This is from the 70s, so a lot of times for mono, they would just use this quilting mono. And feel free to use some like tippet or anything you got kicking around. Hey, Muddy, good to have you in. You overworking? No. Get back in there. Oh, that happened to me. I know it was because of my fever or me being sick, but that exact thing happened to me. I woke up, I did that one stream, it was like half an hour long, and then I woke up at like 6 and went like, oh, I didn't get my stream going, but I've already done it. But I could see all my editing software was still up. There, so we got a chunk of mono. I got like twice as much as I need, so I'm just gonna cut this in half actually. Or it's just gonna kind of get everywhere. Yeah, feel free to use like just some tippet you got kicking around. It doesn't even have to be nice stuff. If you can find this and it's cheap, a lot of times you can get these in thrift stores because people will buy it and not use it. But it's typically used in quilting. But if you can find this stuff cheaply, because you don't want to spend a lot on it, it's just mono. It's much more flexible than most. It has like a different temper to it. It's a lot more flexible than what you'd get for a monofilament. Personally, when I tie these, especially for ice fishing, I like to use this really thin metallic silver thread instead of the mono. But the traditional pattern from the 70s calls for some mono. The original pattern was tied by Ken McLeod in 1941 to represent newly hatched perch fry, and different variations of translucent nymphs. But I find it works a treat on ice fishing. So we got our mono tied in, which is going to be our rib. And actually, I thought is this a 5-strand? It's a lot of strands, whatever it is. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, it's a 9-strand? Holy. Alright, well, we're going to go to town. Let's separate this out and get a single strand. Might have to make a couple more wraps. I thought this was going to be a little thicker, but this is kind of what we're shooting for. Okay, got a single strand. I think that's still thick enough. I think we'll be okay there. But yeah, you can use like dental floss, like I said, works great for this pattern. Strip down your internals of a piece of paracord. The idea is you want that kind of white, shiny, ribbed look. So you want it to be corded up for the body. Now I'm using size 6 uni today, the thinner stuff, just so we got a smoother body to wrap on. Yeah, I kind of figured you were a paracord guy, just a guess. I used to love making stuff out of paracord. It's been a while though. It was hard to find up here for a while, and then it became really popular and it was everywhere. Okay, let's get moving on this. Actually, I'm gonna throw a half hitch in. That's the thing, right? You always make stuff for other people, and then you're left just with like 3 strands of paracord, kind of quickly woven together, just for your own. Oh, all right. Well, that was a good time for it to break, if it was gonna break. Let's get that back in here. You could actually just leave it off and then throw it to the body, but we'll tie this back in. Get 1/2 inch or 2/2 inches on there. Call it good. I'll just be a little more mindful of my tie-in point there. There we are. No biggie. Back at her. Yeah, paracord's fun stuff. I mean, you can make all sorts of things with paracord. So I'm just going to be twisting this clockwise as I'm rotating it. We're having a bit of a clockwise twist in it, just so it lays a little corded. I want it to be back to back. And just touching turns. This will go, if you're using a poly yarn like I'm using here, it'll be a little bit on the gray side with a black thread underlay like that. So if you're worried about that, you won't get that so much with the nylon like you will with a paracord, or you will definitely get it. It'll bleed through really quite a lot with, sorry for the sniffly nose. It'll bleed through quite a lot with floss. So if you're worried about that, the color change is actually part of the whole pattern. Like there's lots of pupas I tie with floss that will change color when they hit the water, and that's kind of the whole point of that one. Do we want to go thicker on this? Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to. So let's do 6 wrap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just going to go back here half the way. We're just going to work a little bit of a taper on that front section. That'll help our our feathers to stand out that we're going to tie in next year. And just give us a little bit more of a nymph-shaped body. There's nothing saying you couldn't dub this. If you're going to do dubbing, though, I'd probably start off with a white thread, or all your thread is going to show through pretty bad. Alright, I'll save that for the next one. Okay, so we got our mono. We're going to go the opposite direction. I'll just unspool my thread here in a second. We want to just kind of follow those segmentations up. There we go. That'll give it a kind of neat looking, oddly segmented body. And I will say that the mono wrap looks really good on like a shiny polymer, like a paracord, like a nylon. It stands out a bit more. Partially why I like to use the silver wire myself on these. But we'll do one next with the silver and you can see. But that also adds a ton of durability to it. But the mono just kind of holds the segments apart. I think I'm slightly overexposed there, which is probably not the best for a white fly. Okay, I'm just going to get a little bit better of a thread base here. I have a little tuft sticking out, so I'm just going to bury that. Okay. Now our next one, I don't have jungle clock because you can't import it anymore. But I do have lots and lots of starling. So that's my substitute for jungle clock. It's got a nice shimmer to it. Little white tip. So, and it's super plentiful. Starlings are everywhere. And we want this to come about halfway on the body. And that's going to represent not only the eye, but the, like I said, he was doing like small little bait fish and nymphs with this pattern. I'm just going to strip this right down. See how far we have to go back. Guessing probably farther than I did, but we'll see in a sec here. Biggest trick with starling is trying to find two that semi-match each other. That's too far, or not far enough. I'm gonna use my tweezers here. So we're getting close to the end. Probably want about half of that. Always start ahead of where you think you need to be. You can always take more off. It's hard to put it back on. And a lot of times I find with these, if you don't strip enough off, you leave too much on there. It'll kind of crush itself. Won't look as nice. Okay, I'm just gonna flip this over. We'll tie your guys' side in first, and then I'll flip over and get the other. This part's not rocket science. You're just simply tying this in along the side. Hey Valhalla, good to have you in, mate. Hope your morning is going well for you. Oop, that exactly happened like I said it was going to, so let's undo that. Alright, guess I gotta pull off some more. I'm not in the mood for this song this morning. I really should just take it out of my playlist. Sorry guys, if I was a little more organized this morning, I'd have these prepped ahead of time. So there we go. We're much smaller now, so we should be good. You just want that white to show up so it's like a eyeball slash fin, I guess. Come on, dude, play ball for me here. Yeah, sorry, I think I'm a little bit overexposed there, but you get the idea. Let's see if I can move my light a bit. Alright, one done. Let's get the second one in. So yeah, if you don't have jungle clock for like a lot of patterns, this will work just fine. And if you really want that orange in there, you can just put like just a slight dab of orange with a marker, or if you want to go even more vibrant, you can easily do that with some yellow nail polish. There's even some like yellow solar resins and stuff you can buy that are colored. I don't know if you need to go that far, but it's definitely an option. Yeah, this is a good way to get something that works. It's pretty much the only real feather substitute for jungle cock. And I can't import jungle cock in Canada anymore, so unless I run into some jungle cock that's already in the country that someone's getting rid of. I don't have any. Ugh. Well, I shouldn't say I don't have any. I have a very small amount, and it's probably going to stay that way. But I'll save those for very special salmon flies. But as you can see, you don't really need it. We can make our own very similar eyes with these starling, and they're super abundant. If you do buy them in a fly shop, they're pretty inexpensive. Just want a couple more fibers off this one. There we go. Sorry, these are real tiny. I know I'm probably being a little on the fussy side, but you can see how small that guy is. But that makes a wonderful little eyeball on a fly, and it's easy to come by. Much cheaper, like even if you're buying the real thing. Even in the States and places where it's a little easier to get, you know, you might be paying up to a couple bucks a feather for the nice stuff. Sorry to hear that, mate. I'm finally kind of mending up a bit here. Hit the snooze button like you do on the alarm clock, so got an extra like hour of sleep, which I probably honestly needed, but I was trying to get up and get some tying done earlier. Speaking of which, let's have a little tea. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's pretty much the Nylon Nymph as it is. I like to tie these out, let's see if you can see in there, a little bit away from the body like that. You can do that with just a slightly tighter wrap. You can do that with just a slightly tighter wrap when you're putting them in, and they will splay out a bit like that. If you don't want them out like that and you just want them right against the body, just do a real soft or medium wrap as your last wrap towards the hook side, and they'll lay nice and flat. I just find that, especially for ice fishing when there's not a lot of movement going on, which I plan on using these guys for, having them spread out a bit like that as you jig it will help out add a little movement to it, since they're kind of supposed to represent little legs or wing or fins or what have you. Okay, I don't really need to make that head any bigger. I think that's probably good. So we'll throw some half hitches and get a whip finish on there. Where'd my half hitch go? Oh, there it is. Sorry, not half hitch, whip finish. We're just gonna get that in there. Get slap some of these on here. Oh, broke my thread, but looks like that actually turned out good. Okay, so there, I'm happy with that. See, it's got like little wings on it. I like to tie them in like that. So that is a Nylon Nymph. Sorry for the sniffly nose. Okay, I'm just gonna put a gob of head cement on this guy. Yeah, a Gatorade would help a lot. I don't know about the Choco Milk. Yep, there goes my alarm. 1 second. I forgot I set that alarm. Okay, so I'll do the spiel. We'll do the spinny bit. I'm just going to finish up cleaning this. There's a couple wispy fibers there that are driving my OCD nuts, so I'll just get rid of those. They won't matter, because when it gets wet in the water, they're basically just going to disappear. Excuse me. Man, still recovering. This one kind of kicked me in the butt. Magical unicorn meat. Thanks, he was. Needed that one. Alright, so there's your Nylon Nymph. It's a fun little pattern because if you're just learning and starting out and you don't have a lot of materials, these are all easy materials to find. You can literally find them in your yard or in your park. Alright, see you later, Robert. I'll be cutting her short here in a minute anyway, so you made her. Thanks for stopping in, mate. Alright, let's do my spin and spiel here. Well, there we have a Nylon Nymph. This was tied on a size 12 hook. You can tie it through size 14 through 6. It's an excellent ice fishing nymph. It's also meant to represent small, newly hatched perch fry, and also a lot of other transparent small nymphs. The tail is tied with a tuft of mallard flank feather, and the body is tied with either floss or thread, which is white poly or nylon. In this case, this is a poly yarn. And the cheeks are tied in with tiny jungle cock feathers. In this case, those are actually starling feathers because I don't have any jungle cock. So, but it works a treat. Cute little white nymph, works really good for ice fishing. And it's chased with a clear monofilament or nylon thread. You can also use a fine silver thread as well. Well, there we go. Super simple little guy, effective, easy to tie. That was a quick back. So I'm just going to enjoy my tea here for a few minutes and have my morning with you guys. Yeah, exactly, and that's why you can tie this all the way up to a 6, right? Like you can get this thing pretty chunky and that work well. If I was tying this on larger, like the larger sizes, and I have, but if you're going to tie these on the larger sizes, the bigger you go up, I go more into this bronze color, because the larger they get, you know, the more color they have, and they're not nearly as transparent anymore. So I go more into the bronze mallard for the tail. Even some of the darker stuff that you get closer to the wings would be good. Right now I'm using the more white on the bottom here, but you can see the color difference. So I do a much heavier tail and have it splayed out, and I probably do 2 tie-in points for the tail. Do one because this will have a natural curve to it, right? So you tie it in twice, and you do 2 bunches, and you do one with this natural curve going down, and then you do your next bunch on top with its natural curve going up, like I do my agonize, and then you'll have a nice bushed out tail that looks just like a little fin. And then for the body, I would do, you don't have to use a darker yarn, you can use the white yarn, but I do a much thicker thread base in black, and it'll bleach out when it gets wet, and it'll turn into that kind of gray fish tone color. And for the bigger ones, I definitely would use the silver thread, which will, you know, just give it a little more flash, make it look more like a little minnow. But cute little thing, and it's imitates a lot of different stuff in the water column. So, and if you don't even have uh, starling, even though it's plentiful, starlings are everywhere. But if you don't have any starling for whatever reason, just use little dark colored feathers that you have and just put a little dab of. You can either, if you really want to take some time, you could dip the tips into bleach and bleach them out and just let them dry. But it'd be a lot easier just to put a little bit of white nail polish on them. Yeah. Since they're just basically representing eyeballs or fins, um, starling works just fine for that. They're so tiny. Past 6 hours, hey Val. Were they like dropping off at the 6 hour mark? Most of my shorts don't really pick up until like 6 hours, to be honest with you. Yeah, the stock market will stock. That is what it does. Oh, particularly good tea this morning. I think I just needed a nice hot tea. Yeah, if you're, I would look at your impression rates on your shorts. Not that it matters terribly much, but if you only have yeah, I'd say 6 hours is a bit short. Like, I mean, it's pretty standard to get around, you know, 5 to 900 on any short in the first 8 hours or so. But if you're starting to drop off between like 5 and 6, that's a bit soon. But I know everyone's views have been dropping, and for the last couple months, something's definitely changed. It's not the same as it was, that's for sure. And it's not just you or me, or you know, it seems to be everyone is in the same boat. So they changed something, whatever it was that they changed. But as far as shorts go, like just from my experience, it seems like you'll get most of your views in the first 24 hours, right? And then the algorithm will stop. Yeah, yeah, like 24, 48 hours. Um, but if they're dropping at 5 or 6, that's a bit early. So I just look at your impression amounts and just check from before, when you were getting about 1,000, you know, views on the similar ones, and just see if it's getting the same amount of impressions. No, you're not alone, by all. Yeah, they're not going to do that. But yeah, I'd compare it to something that's comparable from before, right? So like, jump into your shorts and look at some of the ones you did before that were around the same numbers, like around a K, and then see how many impressions if you got. And if you got, say, 20,000 impressions before, and now you're only getting 10,000 impressions, well, obviously they're feeding you out half as much, right? But if you're getting 20,000 impressions for both, you know, give or take, then it's just bad luck. You're getting the same amount of push. And unfortunately, you can't really control the impression amounts, right? That's just what they feel is the right audience for you. So you can try better hooks, all that fun stuff, you know. I'm not a YouTube guru, but I do enjoy the numbers. That's the way to do it, honestly, Trish. Robert's got the right idea. Although, like, my analytical mind just absolutely loves the numbers. Like, Turner's the same way, right? Turner loves digging into the numbers. I know it's all smoke and mirrors and we have no control over it, but the analytical part of my brain just loves to dig into all that stuff. Watch number go up. Oh, speaking of number go up, we hit 900 subscribers this morning, so woo! Whoop whoop! Huh. Yeah, I haven't done any advertising like Instagram or anything like that. A lot of people do say that it's worth doing though, from what I hear. It can drive a lot of traffic, but it's all that, is that traffic going to stay around? Like the 12, 16 people I got in here are way more, cool to me than the 300 that came through and just clicked and moved on, right? So it's not necessarily a numbers game that way. Yeah, we're making it. Only got 100 to go to the 1,000 mark, and things just become a lot easier after you hit 1,000. But I have been, what did it say? Did I hit my 8-year mark? I think I'm between 7 and 8 years here, so been here for a while. Tried different things. The fly tying thing's been the most enjoyable by far. It's got a good crew of people. We have a really good community with the fishing, bait making channels. I thoroughly enjoy everyone. Yeah, man, I just look at your impressions. That's really the only thing that's out of your control, that you should be looking at. If your impressions have dropped off, then start looking at your channel. Um, at one point, my impressions just like absolutely went through the floor. Went from like 6 or 7 thousand to like 12. Like it was just like it was not feeding me out at all in any of the feeds for weeks too. It was like I do a live stream and get like 12 people. That's a good question because I would normally check that on my phone and I'm filming with it, so I can't tell you at the moment. But it's definitely in the analytics section. Thanks, Robert. Yeah, I'm not bragging. I'm just happy we made it to 900. Making it 1,000's been a goal for like everyone, right? It's been a goal for a long time. Everyone wants to get their first 1,000 subs. Yeah, it's in the analytics there, Val. I wish I could direct you better, but it's definitely in there. You want to go into the specific video, not just your channel analytics. And then in the specific video analytics, what's the word they use for it? It's like, I think it's in the audience section. It's all the way on the right side of like you have to scroll through a little bit. But you'll see it. It'll tell you how many impressions it has, and it does take a while. Like if it hasn't been up for a while, you won't see those stats for maybe 2 to 3 days. They don't always fill in right away, just like a lot of stats in Studio. But you will see the impressions at some point on how many it gave you, and then you can see the impressions graph, and it'll do your little line graph. And if it's like impressions, and it just drops like a stone, well, that's what happened. They just stopped feeding the video. And that'll happen to every video. But if it's happening really early, eh, yeah, probably not. It does take a few days, or at least 24 hours. Sometimes they fill in really quick for me, other times they don't. Um, yeah, I would definitely look into that. Like I was saying, at one point, like I don't like the term shadow banned. I don't think that happens. But at one point, my whole like it wasn't feeding me out for weeks. I wasn't getting any views. I do a live stream, I get like it wasn't putting it out to my subscribers or anything. And I'd get like 5 to 12 views for streaming for like 3 hours. It was really bad. And what I did to fix that was actually I just rebranded my channel. So I changed my logo, I retyped my title, like any spot in the channel that I could redo, I redid. I privatized a bunch of videos that weren't Yeah, and like I said, I don't like that term, and I don't think that's what happened. But um, since I redid the channel, it was like not even 2 days, and it went right back up to thousands of recommendations. So yeah, I don't know what happened, but it was broken, and I thought like, oh, I'm not gonna make a big deal about it. I'm just gonna keep doing my thing, and eventually it'll fix itself. But it was like almost a month. I was getting really worried. I was even talking to Turner and other people about it, and I'm like, dude, give me a hand here. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I mean, the problem with the YouTube, like, if you want to create a YouTube channel that gets a lot of views, create a YouTube channel on how to get a lot of views, right? We all have the same problems. Um, uh, vidIQ is a good one. I've been watching them for years, ever since he started. Um, really, it's in there somewhere, mate. Just Google how to find the impressions. I wish I could pull it up and I could tell you exactly where it is, but I can't do that while I'm filming. Um, it's definitely in there though, I guarantee you. But yeah, vidIQ, the guys there are really good. Nick Nimby, he used to do a lot more of that kind of stuff. He doesn't so much now. Nick Nimby is another good guy I've been following for forever. Um, who else do I do? What's his name now? The guy, he always wears like a ball cap and he's super spunky. Anyway, there's no end of YouTube gurus out there to give you information, but those are the ones I've watched over the years. And if you watch their videos over the years, you'll see that their message changes, but it stays the same. So there's a lot of core stuff. So if you're like you can go down a rabbit hole for days on that stuff, right? If not weeks. So try to stick to more of their core message that doesn't change. I do feel like YouTube's going through a growing spurt again here, and things are different. So take everything with a grain of salt because I don't think even they know what's going on right now. Because even their channels are down by like 10, 20, 30% or more. So if everyone had answers, we'd all be doing the same thing, right? But no one has answers right now because they don't know what's going on. But I'm just happy to have tea and hang out with you guys and tie some flies. Last it. So hopefully that helps you, Valhalla. Just checking out that stat. If I think of anything else for you, mate, I'll toss it in on your community page. But I just want to thank everyone for hanging out with me. I'm gonna go make some breakfast. See if I can find a spot to stick this guy. There's not really a lot of room on this cork. I need to get another cork. Let's pop him right here. Little white nymph. There we go. That's a nylon nymph. And yet they do look a little cooler if you actually have some proper nylon. Cheers. Thanks all for hanging out with me. I'll try and be in here a bit earlier tomorrow.